A very beautiful morning to you, and welcome to another edition of the Recap with Dara on Idea TV. Now, as we stepped into a brand new year, one thing was very clear. One thing is very, very clear. The stories are not easing us in gently. Starting in this edition of the recap, we'll be starting from a painful question about healthcare and accountability to celebrity controversies that refuse to stay quiet. And then this one really broke my heart. It is about football giving us mixed reactions. This week has been heavy, emotional and revealing. But let's get straight into it after this short break. Stay with us.
Hi, welcome to Idea TV, the first innovation television. At Idea TV, we bring you cutting-edge stories, insights, and shows that redefine innovation across Africa and beyond. Get ready to upgrade your mind. Idea TV is your go-to destination for the latest trending news, cutting-edge tech, and innovative ideas that shape our future. From technology and innovations, business, health, education, and agriculture, climate solutions, science, and research. Stay ahead of the curve with us at Idea Television.
Welcome back from that quick break. Now, we begin with a story that has stopped a lot of people in their tracks. Our very own renowned writer, CHIMAMANDA ADICHIE, has confirmed that she authored a deeply emotional statement detailing the circumstances that was surrounding the death of her 21-month-old son, Nkanu, following a medical procedure at a private hospital in Lagos. According to her statement in her account, Nkanu was undergoing an MRI and a central line procedure ahead of a planned transfer abroad. Now, she alleges that excessive sedation was administered, proper monitoring protocols were not followed. Now, these are the kind of things we pass through in healthcare systems. You can imagine that. And that the child became unresponsive before suffering seizure and eventually cardiac arrest for a child of just 21 months old. You can imagine that. Now, the family describes what happened as criminal negligence, and they are calling for accountability, of course, not just for their own loss, but to prevent other families from going through the same pain. Now, this isn't just about one hospital or one doctor. It opens up bigger and uncomfortable conversations. And these are, questions or conversations that are medical protocols being strictly followed, especially for children. Then how effective is oversight in private healthcare? And when something goes wrong, how transparent are investigations? Who are monitoring the doctors? Who are monitoring the nurses in the hospital? Now, so far, the hospital and relevant authorities are yet to issue a detailed public response. But one thing is very clear about the story. Trust in healthcare is fragile, very fragile. And stories like this shake it deeply. We'll keep you updated on this particular story. Let's now move to another story, from healthcare now to law enforcement. Another story that dominated conversations this week involves controversial singer Portable. Whenever I come across a story about Portable, I just shake my head and laugh. So the Ogun State Police confirmed his arrest and announced an investigation into a viral video allegedly showing him being assaulted while in police custody. The police have described any form of abuse or filming of suspects as uncomfortable or unacceptable, and promised disciplinary action if officers are found culpable. But that is one layer of the story. We are getting deep into the story. Portable has also been arraigned in court over charges including assault, theft, and resisting arrest. Now, prosecutors allege that he assaulted actress and skit maker Ashabi Simple, others at his bar, and even a police officers performing her duties. There's also an allegation involving the theft of a luxury vehicle. Now, the court declined his bail, insisting that the allegedly assaulted officer must be present before a decision can be made. Portable, this guy, whenever he makes it to the headline, it is one controversy to another. Portable has now been remanded with his bail hearing adjourned. So yes, while questions are being asked about how suspects are treated in custody, the legal case itself is moving forward, and this one is far from the ones that we've been hearing before. Now, let's clear some confusion. We are moving to the next story now. Let's clear some confusion that caused panic online this week. The Nigerian Revenue Service has come out to say there is no new VAT on banking transaction. According to the agency, VAT has always applied to, specific bank service charges, thinking things like transfer fees, USSD charges, and card issuance, and then account maintenance. So what changed recently is not the tax, but the public conversation around it. The agency is urging Nigerians to ignore misleading claims and rely on official communication, stressing that the new tax law does not introduce any additional VAT burden on bank customers. So, in conclusion, there is no new tax, no fresh tax shock, just old rules being misunderstood. Now, moving on to another emotionally um, charged story this week, and it involves Davido and a long-running paternity dispute that has resurfaced online. A teenager named Anu, who has for years now been at the center of claims that Davido is her father. Now she released an emotional appeal asking the singer Davido to allow a fresh DNA test. In her message, she spoke about years of ridicule, mental distress, and growing up under public scrutiny. She says she wants closure, not fame, and believes that another test would finally put lingering doubt into rest. Things escalated during this week when alleged private messages between Anu and Davido. Now, in those messages, Davido reportedly maintained that DNA test had already been conducted in the past and returned negative, insisting the matter was settled. But the release of those chats has reignited another public debate between, calls for compassion, privacy, and, finalizing the whole issue. As it stands now, Davido's camp maintains its position while Anu's supporters continue to push for another test. It is a reminder that beyond headlines and celebrity status, real emotional damage can linger for years. Now, we would always end our recap with a sports story, but then this one is not that exciting. This is not that exciting. I mean, the sports story this week broke me, really. But then let's have it. Nigeria Super Eagles saw their historic AFCON scoring run come to an end after a goalless draw with host Morocco, followed by a penalty shootout loss. Now, this marks the first time Nigeria failed to score at AFCON since 2021, ending a 12-match scoring streak, the longest in the country's tournament history. Now, despite that setback, the numbers still tell a strong story, I must say. Nigeria scored 14 goals at the tournament, their highest ever at a single AFCON. But contributions from Osimhen, Lookman, and the rest of them, the Super Eagles now face Egypt in the third place match with a chance to equal the AFCON goal record set by Ivory Coast. So yes, the streak is over, but then the performance still commands respect. We'll just keep our fingers crossed and see what happens next. So yes, that is your week. You see, a new year, but the same hard questions about accountability, hard questions about justice, about trust and responsibility, whether in the hospital, whether in courtrooms or public life. As always, these stories don't end when the cameras go off. We'll keep following the developments. Yes, I'm assuring you that we'll keep following the developments. the responses and the consequences, and dish it out to you. As always, I'd like to see you same time next week on this program. And do not forget to follow us across all social media platforms at Idea Television. I am Chidera Okere. Thank you for watching.